Now hey guys, welcome back to the channel and another Swiss 001 video. Now guess in what plane we are. Yeah, this is the Boeing 838. Interesting plane, huh? Yeah, I made a video about this plane a few months ago and I still don't wish that this plane ever becomes a real thing. But that's a whole nother story. Yeah, you know what? Let's actually dig a little bit deeper into the future of aviation today and try some interesting concept planes that I found on the internet. And let's actually try something that looks fairly reasonable and fairly realistic or something, because I recently saw a CNN article about this. Yeah, this is what is called a pod plane, or also called a modular plane, and I would call it a very ugly plane. Jesus Christ. This is a plane concept from Switzerland. You know, it's been around for a few years now, and CNN describes it as the future of aviation. Are you sure about that? Yeah, this is the pod plane. Let's try taking this plane off. It has 3 engines. It's quite large, as you can tell. The wings are heavily hanging over grass here at this point. So let's see if we can take off this plane just fine or not. Right? Alright, let's go ahead. Now this plane, it is really not slow. It can accelerate very quickly or something. Now let's just go ahead and take off. Alright, there we go. We've used a lot of this runway, but we have gained lift. Now you know, this plane design is also called a modular plane. Oh, that was almost a crash here. A modular plane design, which makes sense. I mean, this is after all a modular plane, right? Yeah, this plane, it does have you know, a cockpit in its fuselage, and we are definitely crashing now. Oh yeah, okay, maybe we've just proven that this plane cannot actually fly, but we're back. No, the actual passenger cabin and the cargo hold of this plane is modular. It can just be clipped off and clipped onto the aircraft. So the pod plane design kind of works like a container ship. The containers with, you know, either passengers or cargo on board just clip onto the aircraft, and the airplane just flies, which obviously makes the plane work a lot more efficiently. It spends more time in the air, obviously making more money, and that's basically what this is supposed to be. I don't know if fuel efficiency was also the goal of designing this aircraft. I do not think so, because this one has afterburners. I do not think that the actual concept designer thought that the plane would have to have afterburners, but it does seem very interesting. But you know, this plane, other than the engines, I mean, after all, this is a flying wing aircraft, which means that it doesn't have a fuselage. You know, the whole plane basically is a wing. You're also in the cockpit, and that's kind of like a design that's been stolen from birds as well. I mean, you can tell how a bird's wings just go seamlessly into its main body. I don't speak birds properly, but you know what I mean. This allows for very efficient flight indeed when it comes to fuel usage and all that stuff. Very aerodynamic design indeed. But yeah, what is the likelihood of a pod plane ever becoming a reality? You know, kind of like a container ship plane. I do not think ever, honestly. I mean, first of all, we would have to build somewhat of a flying wing aircraft in the first place, which is the actual challenge, of course. But that supposedly is gonna come, so we just have to wait and see, right? So yeah, that is the pod plane. Let's maybe try some other planes that I've downloaded on the internet. Alright, welcome aboard the EFJ-100, a future private jet, as you can see, experimental. I mean, you know, unlike the pod plane that I was showing earlier, this one was basically made by a random user on the internet. The pod plane actually had qualified people behind the designing of it, but for some reason the EFJ-100 looks like it could actually fly, right? Now this is again a future private jet. As you can see, it has very interesting winglet designs here, very aerodynamic flight, very interesting engines, and very, you know, simple cockpit. A classical modern plane. What do we have here? Well, this button doesn't do anything. Okay, whatever. Let's just go and try to take off, or something at least. Yeah, this plane, it does have some massive power behind it. Very interesting indeed. Damn. Alright, alright. Yeah, that's what this plane is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a plane that can fly at very short runways. So let's test that out later on. Let's go ahead and try taking off first, though. And this plane, it is very powerful. Wow. 60 knots, 90 knots, looking good. Let's go ahead and take off now. There we go, that was quite nice, and we are off the ground indeed, with a very interesting sound indeed. Yeah, get this a little bit of an aileron roll, kind of like a twist, you know, looking good. Yeah, This plane it's got some power oh, alright, never mind. Alright, the plane is back up and running. Alright, so far this private jet seems quite promising, actually. Looks like it could actually fly in real life. Yeah, so far this has been more of a realistic plane to ever fly. Let's try to actually land this plane. Maybe use the least runway possible or something. Something I do not see is a point about this aircraft, honestly. You know, it's a little more modern than others and a little newer, but not that much to it. Alright, let's now get the plane landed down on the runway here. Alright, pretty solid touchdown. Let's go ahead and stop. Well, I think I forgot to put down landing gear. Let's maybe move on to maybe a more interesting aircraft, right? Like this plane. What the hell is this engine? It does look very futuristic, actually. Now, I just downloaded this plane. I have no idea what this is supposed to be and what the developer of this plane actually thought when building it, but honestly, this is quite a sleek design. Well, it's an interesting design for sure, but let's just see if it does fly, because that's the important part. I mean, it obviously would fly, but why does it have 4 engines? Maybe it can carry quite a lot of cargo. That would make sense, but that seems a little overpowered for a plane, doesn't it? But let's just see if this can take off anyway. Alright, a takeoff. Let's go ahead. Now, this plane is apparently called the Meduza, and this was actually kind of a concept that Lockheed Martin came up with for the United States Air Force. Okay, I didn't expect that, but actually there was no 12-year-old behind this, but the actual Air Force, or Lockheed Martin, perhaps. Yeah, this is indeed a very advanced cargo aircraft, and it does fly very interestingly. Now, I know one more plane that is even more interesting, also by Lockheed Martin, kind of a concept there, called the Salamander. And this one is actually very special for having inverted shaped wings, as you can tell. You know, normally we can see kind of a V shape of wings, but now it's the other way around. The wings are shaped that they actually face like forward, you know what I mean, right? Let's see if this plane can actually fly though. Very interesting engines. They are placed on top of the wings, unlike most other aircraft that have their engines or some other place. Very interesting. Let's just see if this plane can actually fly or not. 130 knots. A normal plane should now be able to feel some lift, but 170, 180 knots. 190 even, and still no takeoff. Okay, maybe this plane was not that much of a smart idea. It doesn't fly properly, does it? Alright, let's see if it actually does have stability in the air, though. Which it doesn't. It doesn't at all. Oh my goodness. Oh, this plane's just drifting around, huh? Yeah, no, that was not good at all. Maybe more speed? That is probably the answer. There we go. Now we are kind of maintaining flight or something. Let's try landing this plane before it crashes, which is also a type of landing, but alright, maybe a little bit of a fast landing, but now we can secure that the airplane won't crash on its own. But we have to actually put it down to the ground, which is a good security to have, right? Okay, there you go. And again, we have landed without landing gear. Come on. Stop already, Jesus Christ. Alright, there we go. Let's see how fast this plane stops. Come on. Stop now, please. Alright, the parachute will probably do as well. Alright. I have never flown a plane this bad. This is quite literally the worst plane that I've ever flown. Alright, now we're in another interesting aircraft. This actually looks quite promising. By the way, this was another failed concept design, so don't even think about this one becoming ever reality. I don't think there will be that much happening over the course of the next few years, to be quite honest. There will be some new inventions like the boom plane, which I've also talked about recently. No, we will always fly 737s and 757s and A320s around, or, you know, planes of that shape at least. Alright, yeah, landings today haven't been that good, have they? I've been landing without landing gear quite often recently, haven't I? But that's still another story. So, yeah guys, thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you tomorrow as always. Good night.